Must-eat foods in 15 countries around the world. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. This is a live stream, and in this live stream, I'll be telling you about foods you need to eat when you visit these 15 countries. From mozzarella in Italy to sushi in Japan, I'll tell you what my favorite foods are that you need to eat when you visit. And so what am I holding here? Well, I'm holding some food. This is a beer and this is a hamburger. Are they real? Do they look real? The beer looks pretty real. These are plastic foods from Japan, and you better believe it, Japan is a country we are going to get to in this list. But I need to put these things down in order to talk. So we're going to put the beer down, and we're going to put the hamburger down, and we're going to go ahead and get into this. I want to make sure you can see all these things here. Move this a little bit right here. All right, so the first country on the list, and we're going to start with Europe. And so in Europe, we're going to start with Italy. I've got these country flags instead of numbers just to mix it up a little bit this time. And so the first must-eat food in Italy is definitely fresh mozzarella cheese, in particular Bufala mozzarella, which is sometimes also called mozzarella di bufala. It's the mozzarella made from the milk of the domestic water buffalo in Italy. So it's not cow's mozzarella milk, it's water buffalo milk. And it's been observed that these cheeses made from buffalo milk are higher in calcium protein and lower in cholesterol than cow's milk. They're also just tastier and fluffier and all over a much more amazing experience. When you get mozzarella cheese in the rest of the world, I feel it's often like cheese you get on pizza. But when you get Bufala mozzarella in Italy, it has this just very like spongy type quality to it, where it's got like liquidy and it's full of water. You cut into it, the water comes out. You let go of cutting into it, and the water comes back in again. And I think the best way to get the Bufala mozzarella in Italy is in a caprese salad, which is the mozzarella, tomatoes, olive oil, little bit of salt and pepper. Truly delicious, and it's divine. I didn't know what I was missing out until I had that. So if you go to Italy, you must eat the fresh mozzarella, in particular from the water buffalo. Also in Italy, you need to eat the lasagna. And when I say lasagna, I mean with tomato sauce, no funky cream sauces. You know, around the world, they've taken lasagna to different levels and added some ingredients that I just think are kind of weird. But what's really good about Italy is they do a really good job of just making very simple food, but with ingredients that seem amazingly fresh. Lasagna, right? It's got noodles layered on it, mozzarella cheese, ricotta cheese, and some sort of a tomato sauce. And I will say, in Italy, it just tastes that much more amazing and that much more fresh. The next thing you need to eat when you're in Italy, it's pasta carbonara. Sometimes referred to as spaghetti carbonara. They can have a lot of different noodles in this carbonara. But what's special about it in Italy is pasta carbonara has no cream. That's right, no cream. No milk, no cream. And a lot of times if you get spaghetti carbonara around the world, it'll be an Alfredo type cream sauce. That is not pasta carbonara as it is Italian style. Traditional pasta carbonara from Rome is made with egg, hard cheese, guanciale, and pepper. So now let's talk about guanciale for a moment. A lot of places not in Italy will use bacon or pancetta, but that's not what the traditional pasta carbonara has. It has guanciale, which is pork cheek. Yes, pig cheek that's been rubbed with salt, sugar, and spices and is cured for 3 weeks. The flavor of guanciale much stronger than other pork products. The cheese they use in it is Pecorino Romano, which is a hard, salty Italian cheese made out of sheep's milk that's been aged for 5 to 8 months. And pasta carbonara in Italy is a whole different thing than spaghetti carbonara at the Olive Garden that you might have had. The final food from Italy is pizza from Naples. You probably heard it referred to as Neapolitan-style pizza often, but pizza from Naples, I'll say that, you know, Naples, Italy, some of you may have seen my video on the trash in Naples. I don't like the trash in Naples, but I do love the pizza. And pizza in Naples basically has 3 ingredients: the dough, tomatoes, and mozzarella cheese. In particular, it must be made with a certain type of tomato, San Marzano tomatoes, which are grown on the volcanic plains to the south of Mount Vesuvius, the big mountain that's there in Italy. And actually, it uses the cheese that I talked about earlier, the Mozzarella di Bufala cheese. And an interesting thing is the art of making Neapolitan-style pizza is actually included on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. And if a lot of you like New York pizza or have had New York pizza, that descends from Neapolitan-style pizza, or pizza from Naples that was made by Italian immigrants to the U.S. Brandon Torres on the live stream says, what is different about the pizza taste? Brandon, that's a great question. And the pizza taste of Naples, it just has a much fresher taste. You can taste the tomatoes a lot more, you can taste the cheese a lot more, and I feel it kind of has a lighter taste. Like New York pizza is generally pretty heavy on the flavors, and of course pepperoni is not a topping that you'll ever find in Italy. And in Naples pizza, it's a very thin pizza that when you order it, you also get the whole pizza. They don't really do slices in Naples. You'll get a whole pizza, and it's not too expensive. It'll be €5 or €6 or something like that for a whole pizza that you often eat with a knife and a fork, as opposed to slices, New York pizza slices that you eat by the hand. In Italy, the other type of pizza that I say you can get by the slice is actually pizza in Rome, which is more square pizza. And actually in Rome, if you get pizza, they don't sell it by the slice per se, they actually sell it by weight, and they'll cut it out of these square pans, they'll weigh it, and then that's how they sell it. The last thing that you have to get if you go to Italy is the gelato. And gelato, well, it's frankly just an Italian word for ice cream, but Italian gelato or Italian ice cream is so much more amazing than American ice cream or a lot of ice creams around the world. In particular, there's a store I like, it's called Giolitti. It's also the Vatican's favorite. So if the Pope likes it, I figure it's good for you or it's good for me. And Italian gelato compared to American ice cream, it's creamier, smoother, silkier, as well as more dense, elastic, and fluid than American ice cream. And Italian gelato is also served warmer than American ice cream. It's served about 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than American ice cream. And so your mouth is less numb and better able to taste it. So those are the things you have to eat when you go to Italy. I want to mention I'm doing a giveaway in this video. It's going to be this Vogue Duo travel charger. I'm going to talk about that about halfway through, about how I'm doing the giveaway. I've also got an ongoing giveaway of a shirt. I'll talk about that about halfway through too. And so let's go on to country number 2. So first I'm going to just show the flag for a moment and see if anybody can tell me that flag. You know, I figured I needed country flags for this, and I'm like, where do I get country flags? I ordered this fantastic Flags of the World card set from Amazon just for you guys, so I could have flags for this video. And Dan Dick on the live stream says, that flag is from Chile. Dan would be wrong, but it's close. Brandon Torres is right. It is the Czech Republic. Lucas comes in second with Czech Republic. Excellent. By the way, hello to everybody else on the live stream. Kurt, Cookies, Bald, Greasy Head, Tanner Wilson, and then Dan, Dick, and Lucas. Hello, thanks for joining in. All right, so number 2 is the Czech Republic. And so why is the Czech Republic number 2 on my list? Well, a lot of you have heard that I'm half Czech, and so I happen to like Czech food. And I have a whole video, by the way, on Czech food. And so if you want to see more about Czech food, there's a card I attached to this video, or there's a link in the description. I mean, don't click it right now, but click it when you're done watching this video, and you can actually see more of the Czech food that I'm talking about. But in the Czech Republic, it is all about the dumplings. In Czech, they call dumplings knedlíky, and traditionally, knedlíky, or dumplings, are served with sauerkraut and pork. But on the other extreme, the Czech dumplings can be served with fruit and sugar. But my favorite Czech dish is called something called Svíčková, which is dumplings and beef in a brown sauce. It's one of the most popular Czech meals. Beef sirloin prepared with vegetables, spiced with black pepper, allspice, bay leaf, thyme, and boiled with double cream. It is a delicious meal. The beef is always very tender, and the sauce, it's just amazing. I don't know how to describe it other than amazing. So if you go to the Czech Republic, make sure to have the Svíčková. You have to work on pronouncing that, though. My second favorite thing in the Czech Republic and what you need to eat when you're there, because this one I think is pretty unique to the Czech Republic. I said it's all about dumplings, but it's the fruit dumplings. Yes, fruit dumplings. Dumplings that they put fruit inside. And actually, they do a whole variety of sweet dumplings in the Czech Republic, but sweet dumplings can be filled with fruit, marmalade, curd cheese, or poppy seeds. After they fill it, they put powdered sugar on top with a touch of melted butter, a little bit of cinnamon or grated gingerbread. Truly delicious. And the classic fruits to put in the Czech fruit dumplings are apricots, plums, and strawberries. They are really delicious. And I've not seen really anything that equivalent to a Czech fruit dumpling anywhere else. On Facebook, hey to Rick Stillwatt and hey to Joshua Pickles. I'll give you a wave right back. Thanks for waving, Mr. Pickles. So, and again, watch my video on Czech food later. I think it's delicious. Tanner Wilson said, Czech Republic, really? With the exception of beer, not much food really comes out of there. And Tanner, I would agree, there aren't that many Czech restaurants around the world. And actually in the US, I think I've only found one, which is in New York City, in like Brooklyn. There is a Czech restaurant. The cuisine's not really that worldwide. I think it has to do with the fact that the Czech Republic was a communist country for such a long time, and so not that much food really made it out. But those two things are truly delicious. And of course, Tanner said, well, beer comes out of there. Budweiser, actually comes from the Czech Republic, the original Budweiser. So if you go there and you want to try the original Budweiser, definitely check that out. Jenny Fed says, Peruvian food is amazing. Potato stuffed with meat and fried looks like a delicious golden egg. Jenny Fed, we love Peruvian food too, particularly like the Peruvian green sauce. It's like this amazingly spicy thing. Peru is not on my list of 15 today, only because we haven't visited Peru, but we do eat Peruvian food quite a bit here in the Southern California area. Tanner Wilson says the meat in Argentina and Uruguay is so insanely underrated. Tanner, I haven't been to either of those countries, but I do like the Argentinian steakhouses that I've eaten at. They do a pretty good job. Eduardo joined in on Facebook. He says hi from Mexico City. Eduardo, hello. Thanks for joining in. And Johnny Bangkok, with the last name of Bangkok, says he's eating bacon and egg breakfast in Bangkok right now. Sounds delicious. And Dan Dick points out it's 8:10 p.m. here in Vancouver, BC, which is the same time it is in Los Angeles, Dan Dick. So excellent. All right, let's go to country number 3 on the list. This one's actually a combination of 2 countries, but since I'm only putting up one flag at a time, I only put up one country. So this country right here is, drum roll please, and while somebody guesses on that country, I'm going to introduce the panda who's here. I'm surprised that nobody has asked about this panda. This panda, his name is Digo. And Digo, also, like Topher, comes from the San Diego Zoo. And Digo, you can tell he likes bamboo right here. He's always eating bamboo. Digo was jealous of the fact that Topher always gets into the live streams, so Digo wanted to make it into the live stream today. So everybody say hello to Digo. On Facebook, Iqbal Majid joined in from Jakarta, Indonesia. Welcome, and I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name perfectly, but welcome to the live stream. I love it. And UAL Kingpin was the first to guess that this is Germany. Well done. And Dan Dick said German, and Leah Razor said Germany as well. Oh, OC Girl wants Digo to wave to everybody. So, hey everybody. Sorry, I don't do the very good voices, so, all right. Okay. All right. So Brandon says, is Digo a cousin to Topher? Brandon, I would say Digo is a brother to Topher. They are definitely panda brothers, and they're often fighting over the bamboo, who gets to eat the most. So, on to Germany. I've only got one thing that I think to eat in Germany. Obviously, people know about German beer being really popular. This is a replica of an Asahi, not a German beer. But what else is good in Germany? And Michael Gregero told me a bunch of great stuff, but in particular, I'm going to say the worst, not the worst, W-R-S-T, but the worst, W-U-R-S-T, the sausages. And everywhere in Germany and Austria, you'll see these street side sausage stands. They are the most amazing sausages ever. And you can just go to one of these stands. They'll have glass windows, sausages rolling up there. I don't usually eat street food from like sketchy street vendors, but you know, these sausages, they're really great. One of my favorites is the Curry-wurst, which is a sausage that has curry along with it as well. And OC Girl was reading my mind. She said the same thing. Curry-wurst is amazing. So we probably eat like half of our meals in Germany and Austria at the wurst stands or the sausage stands. Michael, in relation to Austrian food, says he loves the Wiener Schnitzel. No, not the hot dog chain Wiener Schnitzel, but that's like a breaded pork that's been like fried a little bit. Goulash, bratwurst, sauerkraut, Speck, which is kind of a Austrian-German noodle, which is pretty good too. Apple strudel, Sachertorte, which if you watch my video on Vienna, which I do have, I've got a whole thing about eating these torts, and these chocolate torts that are totally delicious. Eric Oberman asks, what are the must-eat foods in Switzerland? Boy, Eric, that's a great question. And, you know, that Swiss is another one that I would say, I don't know that Switzerland has a lot of things of its own. I think the number one thing in Switzerland that Switzerland is most famous for is the, the fondue, like the cheese fondue. You can get meat fondue. That's famous, and I think you need to eat it when you're in Switzerland. But actually, Switzerland borrows a lot of foods from German-type origin, Italy, and France. And so I found the sausages to be pretty good in Switzerland as well. Cherry Sato says, hello, Chris. My son is in England, London right now. Cherry, that's excellent. I hope he's enjoying some of the London videos. OC Girl also points out in Switzerland the chocolate is a must-eat. And actually, I do totally agree with OC Girl on that. If you are in Switzerland, you must eat the chocolate, and you must eat copious amounts of it. The chocolate in Switzerland, I think, is some of the best anywhere in the world. And it seems like there's a chocolate store on about every street corner. I mean, there certainly is one in every stand. Jenny Fed says, my hubby and I ate sausages from the stands in Berlin. Awesome. So there's a third vote for sausages. Michael Gregario says, Speck is bacon cured meat bits. All right, interesting. Dieter Hobson said, Schweinsbraten, like a roast pork. Is that like the pork knuckle, Dieter? Jenny Fed says, my son wants to go to Austria next summer. I want to eat Sachertorte there. Good, Jenny. You will enjoy it, I will say. Dan Dick says, meatballs in Swissland, which I assume is Switzerland. Dieter also adds Curry-wurst. And Brandon says, he will get so much chocolate when he visits Switzerland, as you should. And we brought back quite a ton as well. Thomas on Facebook says, my ancestor's brother was the founder of Nestle. Very cool. And for those who don't know, Nestle is a Swiss chocolate company. That's where they got started. And of course, famous around the world, also in addition for chocolate, for Nespresso, the famous quick serve coffee. All right, let's go to country number 4. All right, this is the flag. Who's the first to say what flag number 4 is while I take a drink here? Not of my beer, because this doesn't drink all that well, but of my dun 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 iced tea. All right, who wins on that one? UAL Kingpin again wins with France. You're very good in your countries, UAL Kingpin. And Leo Razor, Brandon, and Jackson Ellison all came in with France as well pretty quick. Will Work for Fashion 100 says, we were recently in Los Angeles and found your videos on what to see there very helpful. Thanks for your work on these. Will Work for Fashion, I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for watching. And I'm glad to hear those were useful. Thomas McGuire, who continues to talk about Nestle, says, my name at birth was Nestlin. I love Nestle. That's very cool, Thomas. What's your favorite Nestle thing? Chocolate, drinks? I don't know. Let me know, since you would probably know a lot about what some of the best Nestle products are. Okay, so for France, I've got 3 items that I believe are must-eats in France. Number 1, French onion soup. French onion soup is something that I feel when I've got it in a lot of other places around the world, it feels like it's imitation, it feels like it's fake, it feels like it came out of a can, and it seems really cheap. I've never been a big fan of French onion soup until I've had French onion soup in France. And like, if you get French onion soup in Paris, it's also not cheap. It is not like $3. A good French onion soup in France is going to run 8 to 10 euros. I mean, they are pretty pricey because they'll have a lot of onions, they'll have a lot of fresh onions, a lot of really good cheese on top, and then bread under that cheese. And the French onion soup is really like half a meal in and of itself. So if you go to France, make sure you get a good French onion soup. The second thing that you must eat in France are souffles. Souffles, kind of these things that they cook and they rise up, right? There's a sort of like whole perfect thing about souffles. Many people think about souffles as a dessert-only item, but not so in France. There's a souffle-only restaurant in Paris. It's called Les Souffles, and all they sell are souffles, and they are savory souffles and sweet souffles. So you can have an entire 3-course meal of souffles. And I will say Les Souffles is very popular, so if you do want to eat there, make sure you make a reservation ahead of time. The third thing I think is a must-eat in Japan, I'll get to Japan in a little bit, in France, are the crepes. Definitely the crepes. Crepes are amazing. They're also savory and sweet. My favorite types of crepes are either ones that have like raspberries, strawberries, like berries in them, or Nutella. Maybe Nutella and bananas. Those are a couple of my favorite. But a great way to make it through the day in France is just to make your way through the sidewalk side crepe vendors that'll just be making crepes up on the sidewalk. No big deal. Tanner, will I'll give you that one. Mexico's not one of my countries on this list. I mean, I think the tacos in Mexico, because I just happen to be a good taco fan. But Will Work for Fashion 100 says in France, the steak frites, which would be steak with French fries. So I'm curious, Will Work for Fashion 100, what do you like about the steak frites in France? Because I will admit, I've had the steak and the fries and the frites in France, and I don't know that I've found them more delicious than the steak I've had in the US. And just me as a side note, I also find frites or fries with the steak to cheapen the experience. I like some fancier sides, and maybe that's because I'm just so used to eating at burger restaurants that I get fries all the time that maybe I feel like that's a little bit cheap. But I'm curious what you think. What makes their steak and fries better? One vote for escargot, and Michael Gregario had an opposite vote for escargot. Blech, blech. Kirk asked, what countries have you gotten sick in? Kirk, I have gotten sick in one country. I mean, like, sick to my stomach, and that was Amsterdam. So Amsterdam in the Netherlands, right? So Amsterdam is not going to be on my list at all of delicious food, and I think it was from the salad that I had in the Netherlands that they didn't, like, wash it all that well. In particular, the salad had a lot of arugula, and so I was like sick for 5 days in the hotel. I was just miserable. Cassie Reeves says, I love foie gras. Yippee says, hello, thanks for joining in, Yippee. And Chino Latino says, in France, must sample the pastries, cheeses, and traditional baguettes. Absolutely. In France, you'll totally see like people walking down the street with just a big baguette in their hand, chewing on it. I think the ham and cheese sandwiches that come on baguettes are pretty good. Related to the pastries, I love almost any pastry that has raspberries, and in France, they like raspberries in their pastries, and particularly the anything from La Durée. And I pronounce that wrong whenever I say it. Anybody who's French or speaks French corrects me, and I can never get it right. But La Durée, it is a famous French pastry shop, and all of the pastries there are really delicious. Thomas McGuire answered my Nestle question on Facebook, and I have to click this button to see the whole thing. He says, I love seeing the name, makes me think of Henry Nestle. Also found out that Richard von Weizsäcker is my 13th cousin once removed. I love French food also. I would love to go to France and eat baguette with grapes and cheese. Mom makes crepes with sugar or jam. Love your videos. Mom's friend lives in Hauteville, France. Fries in German are pommes frites. My aunt lives in Nordhorn on the border of the Netherlands. My other aunt lives in Greece. Thomas, you have quite the European family, I have to say. And Grandpa Richard has just announced his arrival. So thank you for joining in, Grandpa Richard. All right. Next country. Bum, bum, bum. Is that right side up or is that upside down? I think that's right side up. Yeah, that's right side up. Sorry for all you all looking at the top of my head. Hopefully I don't have any bald spots yet. UAL Kingpin is so fast. I think he must have like the fastest streaming connection. Well done. +3 UL Kingpin. This is Portugal. Country number 5 is Portugal. All right. And Brandon came with a close second on Portugal. All right. So the number one thing that you need to eat when you go to Portugal is the bifana. Bifanas. It is a pork sandwich. The Portuguese people eat these bifanas like we Americans eat burgers. They eat them anytime and they eat them anywhere. The bifana is so popular in Portugal, McDonald's even launched the McBifana in Portugal. Yes, if you've never heard of the bifana, well, you wouldn't be the only one. I had not heard of the bifana before I went to Portugal. Actually, that's not completely true. I did see bifanas when I was in Macau, only because Macau has a really strong Portuguese influence. I did not eat them there. The first time I ate them was in Portugal, and I missed out, and I think I should have eaten previously the bifanas when I was in Macau. But the way they make the bifana, it starts off with lightly pounded pork steaks, boneless cutlets that have been marinated in a garlic and Spanish spice concoction. The cutlets are then briefly sautéed just long enough to make them cooked but still juicy and moist, keeping them tender. They serve them on a very Portuguese type roll, tender and chewy on the outside, floury. And so I've got a video on that one. I put a link in the description and in one of the cards that you can check out afterwards to see the most popular bifanas restaurant in Lisbon. And the next two eats you must eat in Portugal. The next one is tiger shrimp. Tiger shrimp, or just seafood in general, at this place called Cervejaria Ramiro. Cervejaria is like a beer restaurant or something like that. But this place, it is the most amazing seafood place I've ever eaten at. And the thing that's really special there is tiger shrimp. These shrimp that can reach up to 13 inches in length. I mean, I think these shrimp can be like longer than Digo is right here. They're pretty big shrimp. I mean, these shrimp are like the size of a lobster. And in Portugal, they get them from Africa because right, a lot of African countries used to be colonies of Portugal, hence where a lot of things come from. OC Girl wants to point out about the bifana, this pork sandwich, that it does not look delicious at all, and we would have never tried it if it wasn't recommended by so many people. It's very true. It's the kind of thing you look at and go, what? I mean, it just looks like a really boring sandwich. But I mean, it is the most amazing boring sandwich you'll have ever eaten in your life. The last must-eat from Portugal are egg tarts. And the Portuguese egg tart is usually known as pastel de nata, but you may have seen egg tarts in Chinese restaurants, like in dim sum restaurants, restaurants in Hong Kong, and restaurants in Macau. However, the original egg tart that all those Chinese egg tarts are based on originated in Portugal, just outside of Lisbon, right? They're these little tarts about yay big, that have a flaky crust and kind of an egg yolk cream type filling. And the main place that sells these, or the place that originated them, is called Casa Pastéis de Belém, and there's like always a line at this place. And this place can seat like 600 people, and they're all just eating these Portuguese egg tarts. And so how did these egg tarts get created? Well, they were created to these monks at this monastery, the Geronimos Monastery in Belém, which again is just outside of Lisbon. And at the time in the 1800s, the way they starched clothes was they used egg whites. They used egg whites to starch the clothes, and so the remaining yolks of the eggs, they had to do something with it, and so they made cakes and pastries. And so hence the creation of the egg tart, because they had all of these egg yolks. Well, in Portugal, in the 1820 Liberal Revolution, all the convents and monasteries were shut down. So these monks could no longer cook their cakes or their pastries, and someone from the monastery offered their recipe to this pastry, and then it was all born. It became popular in Portugal, and then someone brought the Portuguese recipe to Macau, to this bakery called Lord Stow's Bakery in Macau, which made its way to Hong Kong and made its way all over China. Pretty interesting. So, if you go to Portugal, have the original egg tart. If you go to Macau, have the second place that spread egg tarts all over Asia. And we'll talk more about those tarts in in the Macau section. Thomas McGuire says, do you have a website with all of these recommendations? Richard, I guess there's two things. So, Thomas, like all these recommendations, they're in the description of this video, and then the longer form stuff that I'm talking about, the notes, I will post up on yellow.net, which is the website associated with my channel, YELLOWW.net, 2 W's. Make sure you check that out. All right, so before we go on to the next country, and I'll reveal it here for someone to say very quickly, I bet it'll be UAL Kingpin. I want to talk about the giveaway that I'm doing, the giveaway that's going on. Okay, so there are 2 giveaways going on. So the first one I want to talk about is this one. So some of you may have seen I did a video review of this travel charger about a week ago. It's the VOG Duo travel charger. It's got 3 ports. It's got this neat little thing back here. Anyway, I'm giving this away. So the way I'm giving this away and the way you can enter this contest, well, you need to go over to my Instagram page. And you need to go over to my Instagram page and you need to find the picture that looks just like this. It's the one of Digo and I holding this charger. And to enter, just leave a comment and tell me what other live streams you'd like me to make. Like what topics you'd like to hear in live streams. Because this particular live stream today, it is based on an idea that somebody said in another live stream. Like at the end of it, when I'm like, hey, what ideas do you guys have? Somebody said, hey, Chris, maybe you could do one about your favorite foods around the world. So that's what we're doing here. And Yippee says he doesn't have Instagram. Well, Yippee, go sign up for an Instagram account and then go leave a comment over here. The link to my Instagram page, it's in the top section of these comments. Or if you were doing like a channel name, it's Yellow with 2 W's Productions all together. Or you can just search for my name, Chris Rainey, and then you'll find my Instagram page. So that's the first contest. Go find that picture on Instagram. It's the latest one that I posted. And I will pick a winner at random. Whoever leaves comments on there at the next live stream, I'll pick a name out of a hat, and you will win this charger. $50 value. I'll ship it to wherever the heck you are. The other one going on, you got to find this other picture to enter that one. This other picture of Topher right here on the Yellow Productions shirt. I'm giving away a Yellow Productions t-shirt. And this one, I'm looking for ideas of like taglines. Like at the beginning of my videos, I say things like, hi, I'm Chris, this is Topher, we're Yellow Productions. We do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining, blah, 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 blah. And I'm working on a new channel trailer, which is the video that people see when they first hit the Yellow Productions channel. So like when they haven't subscribed and they end up there, I want to say something about what Yellow Productions is and what Chris and Topher are. So if you've got an idea, leave it here as well, and I will pick out the winners at the next live stream as well. So I know it says June 30th on this one, but you've got an extra week to enter that. All right, so that's the giveaways. Head over to Instagram, find those pictures, win a Yellow Productions t-shirt, or win a travel charger. All right. Thomas said, the egg tarts sound good. Have you ever heard of lettuce soup that Miss Slocum from Are You Being Served talked about? I have never heard about lettuce soup. Thomas, is lettuce soup good? All right. And Chino Latino said, in Portugal, you should also have dishes with cod known as bacalhau in Portugal. I agree with you. And UAL Kingpin was good, saying this next country is Ireland. Though he missed the E, but pretty good. Ireland. Yippee says Ireland. Brandon says Ireland. And Tanner Wilson says, I need to get to Latin America. You're right, Tanner. I probably do. But, you know, the funny thing is the flights to, like, Asia are actually way cheaper out of LA than they are to Latin America. I mean, we were looking at, so like you can go to Tokyo from LA round trip for like $600, or to go to Peru, it's like $1,000. It's crazy. So I don't understand. Okay, I'm gonna drink a little bit here. Oh, my pillow fell over. Pillow, go back up there. All right. Okay, so number 6, Ireland. 2 things to eat in Ireland. One is the oatmeal. If you go to Ireland, you must eat the oatmeal. Oatmeal in Ireland, truly amazing. They call it steel-cut oatmeal, but I've never had more delicious oatmeal than I have had in Ireland. And also, when you go to Ireland, you need to drink the Guinness, the beer. Guinness, the home of Guinness and the brewery is in Dublin, Ireland. And so make sure you drink plenty of Guinness, that is, if you are a beer drinker. All right, number 7. This one is pretty close in geography to Ireland. And Brandon asks if I'm drinking In-N-Out tea. Brandon, I am drinking In-N-Out tea. I had a double fries for dinner. No onions, extra everything, which is extra lettuce, extra tomato, extra spread. Brandon Torres won this one. He said this is the United Kingdom, and absolutely it is. So in the United Kingdom, for those of you who are regular followers, you'll know I'm uploading a whole bunch of videos on London right now. I've got some more to go. I just finished a video on the best cheap eats under 10 pounds in London. But the first thing I think is a must-eat in London are scones with clotted cream. And some of you heard me talk about this in my US versus UK video, but I never liked scones before in the US. Every scone that I've had in the US always tasted like a hockey puck, like hard and not very delicious. And the scones in the UK are like soft and fluffy, and they're best served with clotted cream, which is this like super thick butter. I mean, it's truly amazing. So if you go to the United Kingdom, make sure you get the scones with clotted cream. Of course, make sure you get the fish and chips. London, UK, Ireland too, all about the fish and chips. Jenny Fed asked, is clotted cream just extra rich butter? Kind of, Jenny, though I will say it has maybe it tastes like, instead of, just being, like, butter can sometimes have almost like a greasy taste to it. Clotted cream is almost like they made butter out of like a heavy cream. So I think it's a lot better and a lot tastier. Richard McCarley says clotted cream is like bad milk. I don't think good clotted cream tastes like bad milk, but it can be like as thick as bad milk, perhaps. The other 2 things that are must-eats in the UK, one is meat pies. They're all about their meat pies. They can have beef or chicken inside. And finally, when you're in the United Kingdom, you need to eat the mashed potatoes. They're all about their mashed potatoes. And to go with the mashed potatoes, something particularly British, and you probably saw this if you watched my Cheap Eats in London video, are mushy peas. Yes, that's like a side of peas that's not whole peas, but peas that they've mashed together to make mushy peas. It doesn't really sound that delicious, but it can actually be pretty good. All right, country number 8 right here. Who knows what country number 8 is? Tanner Wilson says, this is a coffee shop. There is a coffee shop near me that makes awesome scones, one of the unique items they have. Tanner, what makes their scones the most interesting? Brandon Torres for the win on this one with Sweden. Very good. Yippee says Sweden with an extra E. All right, so 2 must-eats when you go to Sweden. One is Swedish meatballs, of course, which I feel that IKEA has made famous around the world. Swedish meatballs with mashed potatoes and lingonberry. And a funny story about Swedish meatballs in Sweden, they're actually really hard to find. And why are they really hard to find? Trying to find Swedish meatballs in Sweden is kind of like trying to find a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the USA. Lots of people in the USA eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but because everybody eats them at home, no restaurants sell them. And that's kind of where Swedish meatballs are in Sweden. Again, traditionally served with mashed potatoes and like this lingonberry jam or whole lingonberries. They're these really tart berries, but I think they're a pretty good combination with the meatballs and the lingonberry. And if you get the Swedish meatballs from a good restaurant in Sweden, they will be much better than the meatballs you get from IKEA. I feel like the IKEA meatballs are made of a pretty cheap meat, but the meatballs in Sweden, like if a good restaurant, much higher quality meat, almost like a filet mignon type thing. Richard responded about the mushy peas and says the good thing about the mushy peas in the UK is they won't fall off your fork. That's very true, where regular peas would. So I think mushy peas are actually a refined form of eating peas. And then Tanner lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, and he says his coffee shop has the closest to UK scones you can get. That's great. And Chino Latino says, mushy pies and mashed potatoes on a meat pie in Australia. I believe it, Chino Latino, since a lot of people from Australia come from the UK. That makes sense, and that's obviously why Australia has so many meat pies too. All right, let's go to country number 9. This should be a pretty easy one right here. Country number 9 is what I started talking about. Yippee wins this one. It is Japan. In Japan, where I started holding this fake food, I love to eat everything in Japan, frankly, but some things that you must eat over others, you need to eat the sushi when you go to Japan. I never used to be a sushi fan, and OC girl loved teriyaki chicken or the fried chicken, and we went to this one sushi place in the northern island of Japan, the northern island of Hokkaido, and I got this bowl of raw fish, basically, and it was like one of the most delicious things I've ever eaten. And then we went to the sushi restaurant in Otaru, which is a city near Sapporo, and I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my god, this is sushi? I've never had anything like this, because every sushi I ever had before, every time I had sushi before this was always cheap sushi, which I equate to bad sushi, right? The sushi that you get from the supermarket that's been refrigerated and the rice is cold, it is not good. But good sushi is... All right. The second thing you have to eat when you go to Japan is ramen. There's a gazillion styles of ramen. Ramen is kind of a adopted food by Japan, right? They've adopted Chinese noodles, which is like ramen, chow mein, ramen, right? That's kind of how that gets there. And you can have like lots of different styles. Again, 2 of my favorite ramen chains in Japan, one is Ippudo and 2 is Ichiran. You may have seen my video on Ichiran. It was the one that I posted called the most antisocial restaurant ever, where when you order your ramen, you order it at a vending machine, you get a ticket, you put the ticket down on the counter, they have a bamboo shade that they roll up, and then they bring your food and roll down the bamboo shade. So you can order your food, eat your food, without having to see the face of a single person. Jeff Looney says, is Kobe beef worth the hype? Jeff, I think Kobe beef is overpriced. I think Japan has a lot of really good beef, and actually some of the best beef I've had in Japan is in Kyushu. I would definitely get some of the, like they grade it in different levels, like A1 through A5. I would definitely get their high grade beef. I don't think it particularly has to be Kobe beef though, but the best beef I've ever had in my life has absolutely been in Japan, and it's absolutely way better than any beef I've gotten in the US or in Australia. But you're only going to get like small pieces of it, right? They don't really serve it as a steak. They cut it up into small cubes, but the beef in Japan is truly something to behold. Jenny Fed asks, do I ever go to December nights and eat all the delicious food that is offered in the International Village? For those of you not in the know, that's in San Diego at Balboa Park. There's this big sort of like Christmas food festival. Jenny, we've been there a couple times. We don't really go there that much because it's just so busy and it's so crowded there. It seems like half of San Diego descends on there. UAL Kingpin says, what do you recommend to eat at Haneda Airport? I'll be there for 3 days photographing airplanes. 3 days? That's a long time photographing airplanes. You know, I would say, and this is like I'm trying to put on my thinking cap of things that were there to eat. And I'd almost have to go back to my Haneda video. There's like a food court that has some cheap stuff. I mean, obviously 7-Eleven has really good food. You know, you can take the train from Haneda out of Haneda a few stops into Tokyo. That's probably what I would do if I was going to be there for 3 days. I don't know that I would recommend eating all of my meals in the airport. Tanner Wilson says, waffles in Belgium. Put anything and everything on a waffle. I believe it. Kirk says, what's your favorite food of any of the Disney parks? Kirk, my favorite restaurant at any of the Disney parks is the Blue Bayou restaurant at Disneyland here in California. That's the restaurant that's in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and I like the steak sort of like gumbo soup they have there. I also really like the fried chicken that they have at Disneyland, and I like the corn dogs. Those are my favorite foods. All right, the next thing you need to eat in Japan is gyoza, which are Japanese pot stickers. My favorite gyoza chain is called Osaka Osho. And yes, that's Osaka with a long O. If you watch my Things to Know About Osaka video, you'll see that Osaka Osho is on their main street, Dotonbori Street. It's the one that has huge pot stickers on it. But whenever Usi Girl and I go to Japan, we're always finding an Osaka Osho wherever we go to have their delicious pot stickers. And I love that in Japan, pot stickers can be a meal in and of itself. Pot stickers, it's not an appetizer, it's not a side item, it is a meal, which I think is fantastic. And then one more main course and then dessert. There's this chain called Pepper Lunch. It's Japanese fast food steak. It's amazing. You can find a video that I've done on Pepper Lunch, which they give you this steak and rice and corn and this like brown butter on a cast iron skillet. Comes to your table sizzling. You mix it up and have this delicious fast food steak rice thing. And it comes with this excellent like garlicky soy sauce. I mean, it's great. And Pepper Lunch has opened outside of Japan. They've opened in a lot of different countries, including Australia. They recently opened one in the US. They frankly aren't as good outside of Japan. I think, and this goes back to the Japanese beef. The Japanese beef, I think, is like juicier or moister. The ones I've had outside of Japan end up being more dry. And the final dessert items I love in Japan, I love the pudding. Pudding is amazing in Japan, and you can get great pudding anywhere at 7-Eleven, any convenience store. So make sure you get the pudding when you're in Japan, and get the custard taiyaki. Taiyaki is like we talked about waffles in Belgium, but it's like a waffle, but it's like a waffle that's in the shape of a fish. And then inside the fish, they put custard. They also put red bean or matcha or some of those things. But my favorite is the taiyaki that has custard. And if you're trying to order that in Japanese, it would be custado, right? Like everything in Japan, you just add like an O at the end, and that makes it Japanese, right? But custado taiyaki. Ichi. 1. Jenny Fed says she loves the beignets at Disneyland. They're pretty good too. Jeff Looney says beef sashimi seems nasty. Yeah, Jeff, I'd probably pass on the beef sashimi. And Kirk says, have you eaten Kobe beef in Japan? Yes, we have eaten Kobe beef in Japan, in Kyoto and Osaka. And like I said, I think Kobe beef is good, but I think you can find other beef that's not Kobe beef that's just as good in Japan. It doesn't necessarily have to be from Kobe. All right, country number 10. This country is dun dun dun. A very small country right here. Yippee says Turkey? Question mark? No, not Turkey. Could be Turkey. Indonesia? Getting closer. Dan Dick also thought Turkey. Nope. Ooh, Anthony says, why is the Singapore flag upside down? You know, because that's what the flag of the world said this flag went. So, Singapore. Second. Actually, maybe I had some of these flags upside down too. All right, well, good catch. It is definitely Singapore. And Singapore is another country where I love to eat everything. Everything at the hawker centers, everything at the food courts. But one of my favorites in Singapore and one of the must-eats in Singapore is the chicken rice. This is one of Anthony Bourdain's favorites. Rest in peace, Anthony. But there's even one hawker stall in Singapore that has $3 chicken rice that they've gotten a Michelin star for. It's that good. It's that amazing. And good Singaporean chicken rice comes with thick soy sauce and garlic sambal, which is like a garlic chili sauce. And while I've had chicken rice from other places around the world, including here in LA and things like that, they never match the Singaporean chicken rice because The chicken isn't as tender, the rice isn't as juicy, and the sides, like the soy sauce and the garlic sambal, just are never right when it's outside of Singapore. Also, you need to eat the satay when you go to Singapore. That's the meat on sticks that are cooked over charcoal. Most hawker centers have a satay stall, so definitely check that out. Also, you should eat laksa. And laksa is a Malaysian soup, but it's a spicy coconut soup base with flour noodles, often has shrimp in it. It's almost become a Singaporean national dish. You'll find it everywhere. I found it very interesting that when I was in Melbourne, Australia, there were tons of places that served laksa. So if you're in Australia, you can get laksa as well. And of course, noodles. Singapore hawker centers have tons of noodles, particularly prawn noodles that are freshly walked. You'll see these stalls always cooking up the noodles. Cassie also enjoys the chicken rice, says Singapore is amazing. Jenny Fed says our neighbors move there and love it. They say the food is amazing. I think it is. Cassie says, I subbed you when we were looking for travel videos for Singapore before we visited. Cassie, awesome. I'm great to hear you found those useful. Kirk says, have you had steak tartare in France? Kirk, I have not. I think I'm not into the whole raw beef thing. And Jenny comments that Anthony Bourdain was a tremendous loss. I agree. It was a tremendous loss. All right. Country number 11. Dun, dun, dun. Because this country was not in my country flag kit, I printed out my own country flag of this. UAL Kingpin for the win again. This is Taiwan. Right, number 11 is Taiwan. Taiwan's another country that I enjoy lots of the food that's in Taiwan, and so I'm going to say everything except stinky tofu. Yes, Taiwan has this thing called stinky tofu, which is tofu that's been fermented for a long time. That is not my favorite food, but my favorite food in Taiwan, and what you need to eat when you go to Taiwan, is xiaolongbao from Din Tai Fung. And xiaolongbao is a small, juicy dumpling. It's these dumplings that have pork and pork soup in them, so that when you bite into the dumpling, the soup actually comes right out. They're truly delicious. And Din Tai Fung is the restaurant that kind of like really popularized these things. People who are in the know about Chinese food will say, that's not Taiwanese food, that comes from mainland China, or that comes from northern China. Yes, xiaolongbao does come from mainland China, but Din Tai Fung, I feel, has really perfected the xiaolongbao. They truly make it amazing. So if you go to Taiwan, you must eat at Din Tai Fung. I've got a couple videos on Din Tai Fung. They've also got locations around the world, including in LA and Australia and a lot of other places. Kirk asks, have you had turtle soup in Taiwan? Kirk, I have not. There's a lot of exotic things that I feel like Taiwan sells, like turtle and snake and all that stuff, that I feel are more for tourists than they are for the regular folks that eat there. And Chino Latino added that there's also a lot of great Indian and South Asian food in Singapore, biryani, and yes, I would agree with that statement. All right, in Taiwan, pot stickers, also the milk tea to drink. If you've had boba milk tea, those things with the tapioca balls, those originate from Taiwan, so you should get it where it comes from. And of course, mango shaved ice. Shave ice that they put fresh mango on, fresh strawberries, fresh kiwis. There's this chain called Ice Monster. Check out Ice Monster when you go to Taiwan. I've got a whole video also about mango shave ice in Taiwan. All right, country number 12. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, this is an interesting one right here. Okay, who can guess this flag? Maybe this little background gives it away. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Oh, UAL Kingpin. Might be reading my notes, too. This is Hong Kong. This is the flag from Hong Kong. Very good. And yes, while some people might say Hong Kong is part of China, for the purpose of this, I'm calling it its own country since it's a special administrative zone. But Hong Kong people love to eat. My favorite thing to eat in Hong Kong, what you need to eat when you go there, is dim sum. And one of the best is this place called Maxim's. It is in Hong Kong's City Hall. They love dim sum so much that in their administrative government building, they have a dim sum restaurant. Not any dim sum restaurant. It's one that seats like 1,000 people, and the chefs wear big white outfits and big tall chef's hats. It's amazing. And also at the Four Seasons restaurant, Four Seasons Hotel, there's a dim sum restaurant that's received Not 1 Michelin star, not 2 Michelin stars, but 3 Michelin stars. It's the first Chinese restaurant to get 3 Michelin stars. And mango desserts. I said mango in Taiwan, but they love mango in Hong Kong as well. And there's a lot of chains that just specialize in mango desserts and also dessert soups, say with mango, with coconut milk, sago, and pomelo. Jenny Fed loves the boba tea. It's the best. I get extra large with double boba at Boba Time in Kearney Mesa. Jenny Fed, check out, have you been to Infinity? Infinity is my favorite up in Kearney Mesa. I've been to Boba Time. I know where it is. That one's like on Convoy. But Infinity is pretty good too. Damien, thanks for joining in. Noda, thanks for joining in. You're right, you guys are late. But hey, you made it for the last 5 minutes, so thanks for coming. Jeff Looney says, Xiaolongbao is good for burning your tongue with molten hot soup exploding out of a dumpling. That's true, and there's a whole way to eat it. You just like nibble on it, let the soup come out, drink the soup out of the spoon, and then bite into it when it's cooled down a little bit. Kirk says, would you feel weird having a transgender waiter? I've had many in Thailand. I don't know. It probably depends on how obvious or strange of a transgender waiter they were. I mean, if it wasn't super obvious, then I don't think it would be super weird. But I think it becomes super weird when it's something like, they're one way, but then they're obvious, almost like going overboard, right? When it's not overboard, then I think it's all okay. Jake McShane says, is Hong Kong dim sum different than Taiwan dim sum? Jake, I think dim sum really originates from southern China, and so I think Hong Kong's kind of been the country that's perfected dim sum, and in Taiwan, they serve dim sum, but originally as a Hong Kong thing, right? There's Hong Kong chains like Tim Ho Wan that have opened up in Taiwan, and that's actually some of the best dim sum food in Taiwan is the Hong Kong chain. By the way, Tim Ho Wan, I'll talk about it more probably in my US video, but it's a great dim sum place. They've recently opened up a location in Waikiki and in New York City, and it's funny, they get a lot of bad reviews because people go and say, oh, this dim sum place, like it's too expensive, you can get this dim sum other places, but what's amazing about Tim Ho Wan is it is dim sum all day. Not just in the morning, not just on weekends, but you can go for 6 p.m. at dinner and get dim sum, which I think is fantastic. So, because I know a lot of you watch my Hawaii videos, and a lot of you go to Hawaii. If you are in Waikiki, go to the Royal Hawaiian Center and check out Tim Ho Wan for some delicious dim sum at 6 p.m. that you can have for dinner, which is fantastic. All right, country number 13. Okay, country number 13. This green flag right here. This green flag is bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Okay, no guess on the green flag. The green flag, and I dropped it down because it wasn't sitting there appropriately. This is the flag for Macau. Yeah, this is a hard one. So Macau, right? That's the special administrative region just outside of China that was the original Portuguese colony. And I talked about this earlier. I talked about Portuguese egg tarts, but if you go to Macau, then you need to get the Portuguese egg tarts from Lord Stow's and have the place where egg tarts originated across Asia. All right. Number 14. Yeah, upside down. All right. Okay, this should be an easy flag. Somebody can do this flag. Melanie says, oh no, I missed most of it. Sadness. Well, Melanie, it's okay. You can watch the archive. It'll be there. But thanks for making it almost here towards the end. Jenny Fed said, thanks for the tip on Tim Ho Wan. Enjoy it, Jenny. UAL, Yippee Wan. This one, China. UAL Kingpin said it was chia. Chia. All right. So what to eat in China, since we're running short on time, there's just one thing that I say you need to eat in China, and that is Peking duck. Jeff Looney said, if you say pangolin, I will subscribe. I will unsubscribe. Well, I didn't, so that's good. Peking duck, or Beijing Kaoya, from this place called Chuanjuda, which is basically the Chinese national Peking duck chain. It was something where Mao Zedong went to this Peking duck restaurant and said, this Peking duck is so good, it needs to be preserved in perpetuity. And so while it's an independent restaurant, it's supported by the Chinese government. Their main one in Beijing has like 5 stories, like each floor seats like 500 people. I mean, it is like a mecca for Peking duck lovers. And if you've never had Peking duck, go have it. You'll love it. Peking duck is a whole different thing than people say, oh, I've had roast duck. I don't really like roast duck. Peking duck is not roast duck. Just go have it if you go to China. Also, if you go to Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, you'll find pretty decent Peking duck places as well. All right, let's get to the last one. Jeff Looney says, politically correct, Beijing duck, right? Well, that was in Chinese. It's Beijing, Kaoya, but definitely the English translation of it is Peking duck that you'll see on the menu everywhere. I guess Chinese restaurants aren't politically correct in their own menus. And Yippee got this one, Korea, not just Korea, but South Korea. All right, very good. And I think there are 2 things you must eat when you go to South Korea. I was the first time I went to South Korea, I was kind of hungry for a while. Because there's a lot of things in South Korea that are really, really spicy. It's like everything has a lot of red chili peppers on it. But the thing that I'll say everybody loves when they go to Korea, so it's a must-eat, is Korean barbecue. In particular, Korean barbecue where they have galbi or kalbi, which is a Korean beef short rib, and in particular, Korean barbecue that is cooked over charcoal. Korean barbecue, like these places, they'll like heat up the charcoal outside and they'll bring this hot thing of charcoal and drop it in the center of your table to then cook your meats on. Korean barbecue is so much tastier when it's cooked over charcoal than when it's cooked over gas, so seek out a Korean barbecue place in South Korea that cooks it over charcoal. And the final one in Korea is Korean tofu stew. There's a lot of places that'll sell this, but it'll come in a stone vat, this like bubbling red soup. And OC Girl says, I have to share my love-hate relationship with kimchi. Right, so Noda says, I don't like kimchi. And I never used to like kimchi, and actually I still say the statement, but I eat it and I ask for more, and I eat that plate and I ask for more, only because I was like, I will never like this food. This is the most vile, sour, spicy thing ever. But when they say it's an acquired taste, it's like the more that I've eaten it, the more I've come to appreciate it, and particularly like a fresh kimchi instead of like a sour kimchi. Like the fresh kimchi can have a more, just like a fresher, spicy taste. I don't like the sour, really pickled ones, but I have taken an appreciation for fresh kimchi. But I will never tell OC Girl that I like it. And red food, I was like, this is like a witch's cauldron or a witch's brew. Who could possibly eat this thing that is so hot and so spicy? Yet now, when I get my Korean tofu with kimchi, I make it to like the bottom of my Korean tofu pot, and I'm like, there's no more left, and I've gotten like 3 refills of the kimchi. So that is the story about me hating kimchi. Jenny Fed said, where is the best Korean barbecue here in San Diego? Jenny, it's also on Convoy. It's called, my favorite is Mana Barbecue, like M-A-N-A or M-A-N-N-A. It's just a couple blocks down from Boba Time. It's like right around Convoy and Balboa Avenue. It's all you can eat Korean barbecue. I think that one's pretty good. If you want more high quality meats, there's a Korean barbecue place in the Mission Valley Shopping Center, the Westfield Mission Valley Shopping Center. I forget the name, but that one has some very interesting meats too. Yippee says, how about kimchi on a double-double? Wow, I don't know about that one. Jenny Fed said, my brother and his South Korean wife went there in May, said the food was the best. And I think if you've acquired the taste, the food can be pretty good. Though there's a lot of people that go to Korea and tell you the food is awful. So I just think you almost have to like warm up to Korean food first before you can really appreciate it and appreciate the flavors. Jenny Fed says kimchi is supposed to be really good for you. I think maybe I said that already, so it is. Noda says, I bet it's different from Korean barbecue kimchi in America than actual legit kimchi in South Korea. probably is a little bit more fresher. Cuisine Time says, what's kimchi? Kimchi is like pickled fermented cabbage, garlic, red chili sauce, kind of all put together. Chino Latino says freshly baked Korean pancakes from a food stand. And Jake McShane asks, is there a must-eat food in the USA? Jake, you are a great straight man, because I want to tell you all to tune in next week, just 7 days from now. Tune in on July 9th, next Monday at 8 p.m. for the best foods to eat across the USA. Must-eat foods from the USA. There'll be a lot of barbecue I'll be talking about in that, because we're right around the 4th of July in the U.S. Independence Day, and this is classic barbecue season. By the way, if you are planning a July 4th barbecue coming up and you're trying to think of something to cook, look at my video. Share his recipe and how to make that pulled pork. So check that out if you need an idea for something for your July 4th Independence Day party. Tune in for that. And then just a reminder about the giveaways. They're both on Instagram, right? I'm giving away the Vlog Duo travel charger. Find this picture on Instagram, leave a comment on it. Then there's already been 4 comments, so that's great. I love to see some of you who've already found it. Someone says, I'd love to see a video about train travel in Europe, more about the Switzerland train system, your favorite traveling apps on your phone, travel packing essentials, great ideas. Keep them coming, and I'll pick a winner at random next week on the live stream for that one. And the other giveaway is for Yellow Productions t-shirt. Find the picture of Topher sitting on the Yellow Productions t-shirt and give me an idea for like a tagline or motto to use for Yellow Productions. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you're looking for my Instagram link, I put it at the top of the comments. It's also in the description of this. You can search for my name, Chris Rainey. But with all that, I will say thanks for tuning in. My new ending that I think I like is that I won't say goodbye, because I'm going to see you all next week. And Jenny said, please do a fan meet and greet here in San Diego. Jenny, I'll put a post on Facebook and see if I get how many people would be interested in a fan meetup. And if there's a quorum, then I'll do it. So if you don't follow me on Facebook, Jenny, do so and then respond to that post. All right. Everybody, thanks. Great topic, great video. Happy birthday, America, says Kirk. Good night, and see you next Monday. Whoop, whoop, whoop.